All right, so first and foremost, how are we doing? Good to hear, good to hear. All right, excellent. Okay, so what we're talking about today is narrative argument. Now, obviously, to this point in the course, we've talked about rhetorical analysis, we've talked about open argument, we've talked about synthesis argument, which, if you'll remember, goes along quite nicely and fits quite well with the DBQs that you guys have dutifully practiced in your history classes, I'm sure. But nonetheless, when we're talking about narrative argument, we're talking about argument through a story, through a narrative, right? And this goes along quite well with what we're reading now, which is The Things They Carry by Tim O'Brien, right? And if you'll remember from your reading for the pre-lesson article, we had the interview with Tim O'Brien, who stated in the end, a true war story is never about war. It's about sunlight. It's about a special way the dawn spreads out on a river when you know you must cross the river, march into the mountains, and do those things. So again, a story is about more than just the story itself. It is conveying a set of values, a set of ideals, all that good stuff. So if you would, go ahead and take a minute. Go ahead and hit that entrance ticket link if you haven't already done so. Go ahead and fill it out, and we will reconvene in about 1 minute. All right, welcome back. A minute has clearly elapsed. So, when we're talking about stories and narratives as an argument, if you're trying to convey something about yourself, some quality about yourself, hidden or obvious, you're still arguing. When it comes to arguments, as we've discussed all year, these are methods to move others to think and feel a certain way, even about how they see us. In fact, it's specifically kind of how narratives work as an argument. We're trying to convey some kind of argument about how others should see us and what we value and what we care about enough to spend our time and energy talking about. So, what are you arguing by telling a story? When you tell a story, be it deeply personal or something that happened that day, you're conveying any number of purposes. You're conveying a value. You're revealing how you see or fit into society. You're imparting a lesson, maybe. So, some common rhetorical devices that we're talking about, we're talking imagery, we're talking select diction, the word choice you use, we're talking figurative language, we're talking syntax, which is the way your sentences are arranged, and we're also talking allusions. What kind of references are you making? There are also common rhetorical strategies, as we've discussed all year, but now, in terms of how they're applied to narrative argument, we're talking rhetorical appeals. How do you want to come off? What are you trying to convey people to think, feel, or do at the end of your story? We're talking organization of events within the narrative. We're talking about shifts in point of view or tone. We're talking about comparisons or contrasts, emphasis on certain details, minimizing certain details. Really quickly, sorry about that. Just want to make sure. Back on. Okay. So, obviously, after we've gone through all of that, and you still have that slide deck as a kind of cheat sheet, if you will, now it's time for a Kahoot. Okay, give me 1 sec. I'm going to get the game code up for you guys in just a sec. All right, so 1 sec. Let me share my screen. All right, so there's our game code. Go ahead and join in. ready to roll. All right, so all the following are rhetorical strategies effective except exactly. Gripping your audience by the shoulders and keeping them focused on your face is not a strategy, but if you shift your tone, you convey a specific appeal, and you emphasize certain details of your story, those are strategies. Not only do they keep people engaged, but they also convey a particular purpose. All right. So the next one is true or false. So because you're telling a story or a series of stories with a narrative, you're not really establishing an argument. False. Exactly. You're still conveying some kind of value. You are still making some kind of argument, even if you're telling a story. All right. So for our Flipgrid mini assignment, I provided a planner for you guys to jot down some ideas for a very brief narrative argument. Then you would use the Flipgrid link, just mute your Blackboard Collaborate microphone, and upload your 1-minute narrative argument. At which point you come back to the slide deck to move on to the next slide and finish the exit ticket. If you wish, it's totally optional. View at least one other person's Flipgrid and record a video reply with what core value or idea we glean about the individual from their 1-minute narrative argument. So if you click the planner, it's open and available for you. It makes a copy for you so you can write on it. And then the Flipgrid link is right there. And then you just click join with Google. And there you go. And you'll see I already put one up there. So there you go. All right. Wow, look at all the time that's passed and what great Flipgrid ideas that you guys had. So, upon finishing, obviously conveying your brief story and your narrative argument based on the values that you wish to convey and the certain details you chose to include in appeals and imagery and the word choice, go ahead and click the exit link. And there you go. Thanks for a solid few weeks and take care.